The White House altered the transcripts. Big surprise. They lie about everything. They alter job numbers, border numbers, inflation numbers. Everything is fake about everything they do. So why wouldn't they just shove in an apostrophe where it doesn't belong? They did. Because what do they care? The whole administration's not functional. What's a errant apostrophe matter? So the AP tells us that they went in, got some sources, and the White House did alter the garbage remark. Here's Sleepy Joe there telling us that they did alter the official transcript. Oh no, of a call in which Biden appeared to take a swipe at Trump supporters. That was drawing objections from the federal workers who document those remarks for posterity. That's according to 2 U.S. government officials and an internal email obtained Thursday by the AP. Liars. Biden created an uproar earlier this week with his remarks to Latino activists responding to racist comments about Puerto Rico. Now, according to a transcript prepared by the official White House stenographers, Biden told the Latino group, he said, quote, "The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters." No apostrophe. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. It's un-American. The transcript released by the press office, though, that's Kareen's office, however, rendered the quote with an apostrophe, reading it as supporters is rather than supporters, which the aides said were Joe criticizing the comedian, not the Trump supporters. Now, the change was made after the press office conferred with the president. Okay, because you should be writing down what the president said, not what the president meant to say. That's according to an internal email from the head of the stenographer's office that was obtained by the AP. Oh, the authenticity of the email was confirmed by 2 government officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal matters. The supervisor in the email called the press office's handling of the matter, quote, "a breach of protocol and a spoliation of the transcript integrity between the stenography and the press offices." They said if there's a difference in interpretation, okay, the press office may choose to withhold the transcript, but it cannot edit it independently on its own. Adding our stenography office transcript, which is released to our distro, which includes the National Archives, is now different than the version that was edited and released to the public by Kareen. The edit of the transcript came as the White House scrambled to respond to a wave of queries. So they're like, anybody know grammar in here? What can we do about this? Private professional 4th grade grammar teacher on staff. She's, oh gosh. They're like, all right, bring it to Mrs. Robinson. Bring it over to her. I've never seen anything quite so bad from Joe before. Let's try an apostrophe. It's all we got. Let's try it. Like, oh gosh, that's brilliant. Ian Sams is like amazing. Thank you, Mrs. Robinson. The edit of the transcript came as the White House scrambled. The remarks clashed with Kamala Harris's near simultaneous speech outside the ellipse. Trump campaign quickly moved to capitalize on this, got themselves a garbage truck. It was fun. Harris on Wednesday distanced herself from the comment. She says, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for. That's weird because they're voting for, according to you guys, Hitler. According to the email, which means they must love Hitler, right? Is that that's how you're going to disambiguate this? No. According to the email, the press office had asked the stenographers to quickly produce a transcript of the call amid the firestorm. Oh, crap. Biden himself took to social media to say he was not calling all Trump supporters garbage. Yeah, Joe did, I'm sure. And that he was referring specifically to, quote, the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump supporters. At Trump's supporter, okay, not even, see, they moved the apostrophe again. By Trump's supporter. Get out of here. You guys are a joke. The stenographer's office is charged with preparing accurate transcripts, they say, of public and private remarks of the president for preservation. It's called the National Archive. The 2-person stenography team on duty that evening are a typer and a proofer, and said any edit to the transcript would have to be approved by their supervisor, the head of the stenographer's office. Now, the supervisor was not immediately available to review the audio, but the press office went ahead and published the altered transcript on the White House website and distributed it to the press and social media in an effort to tamp down the story. These people are whacked. They're just fakers, man. They know what he said. We all know what he said. Everybody knows what he said. The stenographer in their own government knows what he said. White House senior deputy, they're undermining their own government to cover up for Joe and Kamala, right? It's really to cover up for Kamala so that she can't eat the fallout of this consequence. White House senior deputy press secretary Andrew Bates that evening also posted on X the edited version of the quote and wrote that Biden was referring to, quote, the hateful rhetoric, okay, not Trump supporters as garbage. We heard him. The supervisor, a career employee at the White House, raised the concerns about the press office action, but did not weigh in on the accuracy of the edit. In an email to White House comms director Ben LaBolt, Press Secretary Karine and other press secretary communication officials says, hey, regardless of the urgency, it is essential to our transcript's authenticity and legitimacy that we adhere to consistent protocol for requesting edits, approval, and release. The supervisor declined to comment to the AP and referred the questions back to the White House. I can't talk. You know, this dude's like, it sounds like they're trying to be like, look, man, you say it, we write it down. That's it. You want to change it? You got to tell us why it needs to be changed. We approve it. That's it. What about the politics? I don't know why they did that. Go talk to them. That's exactly who you want here. And they got undermined completely by their own people. Asked to comment, Bates did not address the alteration of the transcript and said, the president confirmed in his tweet that he was addressing the hateful rhetoric. Okay, but now we're asking whether you're committing fraud. Okay, you prosecuted Trump for fraud, for fraudulent business records that were not fraudulent at all. You're actively committing fraud against your own stenographer, knowingly committing a fraud. That was reflected in the transcript, and you dumped it all over America. House Republicans, meanwhile, were debating launching an investigation into this. Good, they should. And House Oversight Accountability Chairman Comer on Wednesday accused the staff of releasing a false transcript. Yeah, it's fraud. It's fraudulent. Trump had to go through a trial. It's got 34 criminal verdicts against him on this one. In a letter to White House counsel Ed Siskel on Wednesday, they called on the administration to retain the internal documents of the materials. White House staff cannot rewrite words of the president or resident to be more politically on message. And they said this violated the law. Presidential Records Act, 1978. Yeah, Trump got prosecuted for everything. And so you should face the same consequences. Here's the letter they sent over to the White House, and it was drafted, sent to assistant to the president and to the White House counsel. This guy's name is Edward Siskel. Says, yo, Mr. Siskel, hello. This is the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. James Comer and Elise Stefanik from New York chiming in here saying, hey, Mr. Edward Siskel over at the White House. In less than 1 week, the American people will determine the winner of the 2020 presidential election. We got two candidates here, President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, Biden, marred by his unpopular policies, footnote 1, scandal, footnote 2, and apparent cognitive deterioration, footnote 3, has chosen not to pursue a second term in office. Yeah, he got cooed out of there. Chosen? Yeah, that's generous, thanks. President Biden, however, has continued to play a prominent role in Harris's campaign and indeed is the most powerful mouthpiece for the Harris-Biden administration's policies that Harris presumably seeks to continue under a hypothetical Harris-Walz administration, saying Americans were rightfully insulted then when Biden, seeking to boost Harris and her presidential campaign, when she referred to an enormous swath of the country as floating garbage. Biden's vindictive words were unsurprising. Yeah, because he's already screamed during his Gates of Hell speech, given his previous statements regarding people who choose not to vote for his preferred candidate. Footnote 5. Unsurprising, too, were the White House's actions after he said them. Instead of apologizing or clarifying the words, the White House sought to change them, despite them being recorded on video, which we all watched. Even Caitlin Collins was like, we saw it. It's right there, Josh Shapiro. They released a false transcript of his remarks. Fraud. The move is not only craven, but it appears to be a violation of federal law. So who conducted that? Who ordered that? Joe, including the Presidential Records Act of 1978, and probably Kamala's people too. They wanted him to fix this too. White House staff cannot rewrite the words of the president to be more politically on message when he goofs. Though the president's relevance continues to diminish, that's true. His words do continue to matter. even as they become increasingly divisive and erratic. And so we write to demand that the White House retain and preserve all documents and internal communications about his statement here. They've already been shredded a long time ago, and release of the inaccurate transcript. We also demand the White House issue a corrected transcript with the accurate words. If you have any questions about this, you can contact our office. We can investigate these things. Sincerely, your friends, Elise and James. Sent over to the White House, which will probably go in the shredder with the rest of the documents before they exit the arena. Now, there's other things that they're editing and changing, including the jobs numbers. And this was a wild 13-second clip where basically everything's just a lie. Here's the latest on the numbers.
It's a massive drop, of course, from what we saw in September. That number was also revised lower, down to 223,000 jobs. In fact, what we lost was over 110,000 jobs over August and September. So,
oh, wait. OK, so the numbers were down. They told us they were up majorly. Then they revised them down, and we've actually lost jobs, was the conclusion. Happens all the time, right? We get numbers, they celebrate the numbers, and then they revise the numbers because they're liars. Ducey was in talking about this White House transcript fraud. And I know that's just an apostrophe, whatever. It is much bigger than that, right? It enabled a bunch of people out there on the left to say he never said that thing, and then to blame the Republicans of smearing him. So it was a political grenade that they launched off, and they did it fraudulently from the White House, and they involved themselves in the political campaign. They would charge Trump for this. They would impeach him for this. They would imprison him for this. You'd have Shifty Schiff out there screaming he should be jailed immediately. You'd say the Russians were involved in this apostrophe. It's one of the most scandalous, grammatical, political scandals we've ever seen.
And we have a story about White House stenographers. First time this whole cycle. The White House stenographers come with the House. They are not political. Some of them have been there since Trump and will be there after Biden. And they are now as mad as you will ever hear a stenographer on the record that White House officials working for President Biden tried to change the meaning of their transcript. So it sounded like the president on that Zoom with Voto Latino was just criticizing a comedian instead of all Trump supporters. So now we've got a supervisor from the stenographer's office who is saying, our stenography office transcript released to our distro, which includes the National Archives, is now different than the version edited and released to the public by press office staff. And Amy Sands, the director of that department, continued, please avoid sharing rushed drafts and excerpts, which are subject to review and might create confusion among staff, media, and the public while our stenography office completes a thorough review process. The White House is not explaining what exactly happened here, just to say the president confirmed in his tweet on Tuesday evening that he was addressing the hateful rhetoric from the comedian at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. That was reflected in the transcript. And they're getting some help keeping MSG top of mind from J-Lo.
At Madison Square Garden, he reminded us who he really is and how he really feels.
He didn't say anything. It was a joke.
It wasn't just Puerto Ricans that were offended that day. Okay? It was every Latino in this country. It was humanity and anyone of decent character.
Man, I don't know what they have on these celebrities. They're coming out with some enthusiasm. Some might say they're like giddy over their support of Kamala. Giddy is the sound that comes up because of Diddy.
The Harris campaign keeps losing control of news cycles because of this garbage comment and the cleanup, and White House staff apparently trying to change the meaning of something that everybody who has watched the clip could hear with their own ears. It is looking like this is becoming a classic DC case of the cover-up being worse than the crime.
Totally.
And the crime was pretty politically bad.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah. Joe Biden has dementia or is just incompetent. Okay. No, but so Joe Biden, he comes out, he says a gaffe. It's a garbage gaffe. It's a terrible thing to say. Kamala's unhappy about it. But then committing fraud to fix that when everybody's already seen it. Come on, guys. Your fix is worse than the problem. And it looks obvious what you're doing. You added an apostrophe in there. Okay. No. Even our fourth grade teacher would say, that's not what this is. Okay. F. Try again, little Robbie. All right. Sorry.
Peter, just to underline, you do think this is as angry as the stenographers have been ever in the White House. Would you back that up? Do you have a second source?
Fox confirms the stenographers, you never hear them say anything. They're always just sitting like 2 feet away from the president with a long microphone and a recorder. And now they're going on the record. And also, the stenographer's office
When the
apparently has a leak.
Right. When the stenographers
now
go
we
on the
know
record,
about
who
this.
types it?
We're picturing
Yeah, I didn't know
the
they
grandmother
existed.
like angrier than she's
They're
ever
probably
been.
just all in a line. They're probably all in a line. There is a stenographer next to the stenographer with a mic to make sure that they got it right. They'll all check their notes.
That's actually very true. It's very accurate. And we love our stenographers here, obviously, but they often don't even talk to you or acknowledge you. All they want to do is just write the words down. That's it. You even smile at that. Maybe they'll give you some friendly facial expressions because those aren't words. Otherwise, they value the words, I think, very highly. Could you imagine that? If you have to write every single stinking word down that you have to say, you don't really want to talk to anybody. You don't want anybody talking to you in your official business because you also have to write that down. Don't talk to me. Okay, just let me write the words down. And now they're like, we have to release a statement. Normally, they say the words and we write them down. Now we're going to say the words and they're going to write them down. It's like a nightmare for them. So shout out to our stenographers. Hopefully they're doing okay over there. But they got undermined. They got backstabbed by their own administration. They got taken advantage of. They got exploited. Could you imagine doing this to your own people, your own White House? And that's their whole job. People are getting sick of it, including Hugh Hewitt, man. He showed up here. This was epic. He was here hanging out with these Washington Post folks, and they're getting into some garbage about President Trump, which is what they always do. It's just more garbage coming out of their mouths. And Hugh Hewitt says, enough of this. I'm out of here. Peace. Once this video plays, come on, Elon, don't fail me. Let's try it again. We wanted to fast forward some of this, so we'll go here.
Appreciate being lectured about reporting when Hugh, many times you come here saying lots of things that aren't.
I will come back, Jonathan. I'm done. I'm done. This is the most unfair election ad I have ever been a part of. You guys are working. That's fine. I'm done.
Ruth, you wrote a column this week ending with this line, and actually, I think this is perfect. We're going to put it on the screen. You want to know the stakes of this election? Not only democracy, but decency. Talk more about that, Ruth.
Okay, I'm collecting myself.
Oh, Ruth froze.
Oh, no.
Ruth is frozen. So hang in there, everyone. We're going to see if we can try to get Ruth back. We're going to get Ruth back in a moment. This is First Look, Washington Post Live's nonstop shop for news and analysis, and Ruth is back. So I'm going to read that quote back again from your column, Ruth.
Okay. Hugh Hewitt, again, I don't know what really led up to that, but it's hysterical. So it's all just fake news. So Hugh Hewitt has had enough of it. Says, I'm out of here. He bailed. White House is faking stories. Liz Cheney's faking stories. Biden is shoving apostrophes where they don't belong. Numbers are being revised, all from our fake government. Hopefully we don't have much more time dealing with them, my friends. We're getting our votes in and we're driving to the finish line. We'll see you on Tuesday. All right.